Hey guys, welcome. Today we're watching a video called "There's No Such Thing as a Centrist." Why? I felt like I had to. Also, quick introduction. I'm a Japanese to English technical translator, and blah blah blah. I don't know. That's what perspective I'm coming from. Skill set I'm coming from. Not like positionality, but Um, politically, I'm apolitical, which is why this video strikes me as so interesting. Um, Now, there's a couple of things I'd like to read to you real quick. There's a couple of excerpts I'd like to read to you from a book that goes by the name of. Does it go by the name of? Um, The Opium of the Intellectuals. It's a book I've been reading. It's called The Opium of the Intellectuals, written by a guy by the name of Raymond Aron. It's hold on. Let's put the book on. Okay, pull the book. There we go. Um, Zoom in, enhance. There we go. Now this isn't the one. Hold on, where I want to start. Um, let's go back a couple pages. Okay, I guess that's actually okay. So it's in the foreword. Here we go. Now, this is about why he chose to wrote the book. Now, this is very interesting, okay? Because this book, to me, very interesting to me, because this book was written in 1955, published in English in 1959. And The Opium of the Intellectuals, of course, is a play on the opium of the masses being, religion. But in this case, what's the opium of the intellectuals? Well, we'll get into it. Now, one of the reasons why he got into the book is here's a quote here. Seeking to explain the attitude of the intellectuals, merciless toward the failings of the democracies, but ready to tolerate the worst crimes as long as they are committed in the name of the proper doctrines, I soon came across the sacred words: left, revolution, proletariat. The analysis of these myths led me to reflect on the cult of history, and then to examine a social category to which the sociologists have not yet devoted the attention it deserves: the intelligentsia. Yeah, right. Nobody pays attention to what they're doing. And again, this was from 1955, man. People were calling stuff out a long time ago. Why has Marxism come back into fashion in a countries whose economic evolution has bellied the Marxist predictions? Why are the ideologies of the proletariat and the Communist Party all the more successful where the working class is least numerous? What circumstances control the ways of speech, thought, and action of the intellectuals in different countries? Why is it always the smarty pants that went to colleges preaching this shit, but regular people are not? Why? It's always people that are actually bourgeoisie, right? And even though that's in their thing, but they're actually bourgeoisie, the people that come up with this nonsense, the people that push this nonsense on the rest of us. Anyways, there's at least one more part. There's two more parts I want to read. Here's this one. There may be countries in which there is no awareness of the myth of the revolution and salvation by violence, or of the myth of the proletariat as the chosen class, but nowhere in our time is there a lack of awareness of the myth of the left. Sorry about that noise. And of the cult of history. In India, I had the experience of lecturing on the fallacies of the opposition between right and left. My audience, which consisted entirely of intellectuals, was as upset and indignant as my French, British, or American critics. Not that I deny the extent of the opposition between those who sit on one side or the other of an assembly. I deny only that because of their ideas and opinions, they can be divided into two camps. One, the incarnation of good, and the other of evil. One belonging to the future and the other to the past. One standing for reason and the other for superstition. Anyone who maintains the equal validity of both camps and the heterogeneous nature of both is immediately denounced. Now, isn't all this interesting? Isn't deja vu, history rhyming all over us, man? I think he's right. I think the left doesn't exist. I think it's a myth. I think so. Now I have one more, and this is my favorite part, right here. When I'm asked, Alan once wrote, if the cleavage between right-wing and left-wing parties, between man of the right and men on the left, between men on the right and men on the left, still has a meaning. The first idea that comes to me is that the questioner is certainly not a man of the left. That's true, right? Nobody on the left would ever say that. Nobody on the left. Now, I normally don't want to use, for the nameless cult, I normally don't want to use leftist because it's kind of a different term. And it describes other types of things too. But in this case, we're going to use leftist. For this video, we're going to use leftist because this person says that we're not, centrist doesn't exist, right? Independent doesn't exist. It's just left and right. Well, why do they do that? Well, because they're left, right? Because anybody on the left is biased in that way and has to do that, has to, like, they only gain from fooling us and making us believe that we have to pick a side. They only gain from that because their political, their bias, again, be careful of this, their whole bias is in the direction of fooling you into believing things like this, that the right and the left are real. And I know people like it, this is one of the hardest things for people to get, but the left and right are not real. They're not real. It's just not like a real framework to put yourself in. It's just a myth. It's just something they're told to believe. And people believe it, you know, even though it only existed since the French Revolution, people still just go, oh, I believe that's a real thing. That's how people on the left or people on the right. And it is true that there's plenty of studies kind of showing that people do end up reflecting it. But what happens is they become mass formations. If you want to learn about mass formations, read, what is it? The Psychology of Totalitarianism. Look that book up. Mass formations. Or look up mass formation hypothesis or whatever on the internet too. People call it like conspiracy theory, but all it means is that people get into these really big groups and they basically are crazy because human beings aren't meant to work at groups that large. And we can see that evident in the right and the left, in the Democrat, if people that identify as Democrats or left or right, whatever way they identify, you can see them acting like giant blobs intellectually, right? Once you pull yourself out of the two sides and look around, you see they act like blobs, right? And that doesn't mean they're not individuals. They still are. But, you know, they kind of act like blobs, and that's why. Okay, here we go. Let's watch this guy tell us why we don't exist. And, again, they have to make this argument because why? Well, first let me tell you, this is Signified B-Sides on YouTube, which I assume he has another one. I just like it because it says B-Sides. I assume he has a main channel. I don't know, but that's where this was from. Signified B-Sides. Okay, here we go. I didn't adjust the audio. I don't know if I'll turn them up.
So Lunar Echo asks, and I'll leave it at this: how much of a willingness to accept conservatism is based in privilege?
Now, my first thought on this question is that it's kind of nonsensical. What are they talking about? A willingness to accept conservatism? What does that mean, bro? Do you mean like allow conservatism in this world or become conservative? Or what does it accepting conservatism mean? I guess we'll listen to the answer, but I have no idea what that person is even saying, really. Like, how much of a willingness to accept conservatism is based in privilege? What do those words mean? You know, what is that series of words? We know what privilege means. Privilege means what white people have and nobody else has. Let's just simplify it. That means to the cultists, that means white people have stuff. Or capital. It means capital, right? In Marxist thought, it means capital. Let's try and make it all very clear and very understandable. It means capital. So how much of a willingness to accept conservatism is based in capital of the cultural perspective? I still don't get it, right? What the fuck does that mean? To allow them to exist or to become conservative? Anyway, let's listen to what he answers.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot, and that's one of the reasons why this Jordan Peterson stuff has been so interesting to me.
I think there's a lot. Okay.
Because I was a liberal for most of my life. And I had
he was a liberal. What is he now? A progressive? And he doesn't believe in liberalism anymore? I don't know anything about this guy. Is he a conservative now? Is this a conservative guy?
Fights with more left-leaning black folks while Bernie Sanders was running in the middle of Obama's second term, where I was really working to justify not moving further left in my politics because I didn't see it being.
He did move further left. He went full socialist, right? That's what we're saying.
Useful in the long run, right? I didn't think it would work. I got one homeboy that I was arguing with on Facebook all the time. I mean, he was still wrong about a lot of shit, but like, I have to give, like, I gotta shout.
This is my point, though. A lot of people seem to be radicalized into the left. It just happens like later in college and shit. Or like, I mean, even on YouTube, you find that people get more radicalized to the left than they do to the right. Like the news report lied about. Yeah, that's what it seems like, right?
Out credit that like he challenged me to the point where I really was like, okay, what am I really protecting by maintaining my.
Oh, but this is interesting then for us, right? This is somebody that went from a standard view like some of us used to have or still have, like a liberal view, to extreme crazy, to just extremely nonsensical. We maybe we can learn about the slide here, because I mean, even the idea of like Jesus Christ, centrist. They always paint centrist like what it means is like the right wing goes, I want to kill 100 people. The left wing goes, I don't want to kill anyone. The centrist goes, I want to kill 50 people. It's just like a fake representation, right? What it means is the guy goes, I want to kill 100 people. I want to kill no people. And you're like, why do you want to kill 100 people? Why do you want to kill no people? What are we talking about? And then finding out the centrist, like the real view, the independent view, the centrist view, whatever, is saying, well, what are we talking about? Why do you want to do that? And what would it do? What's the point of it? Why are you trying to kill 100 people? And the other side, why? I mean, obviously you don't want to kill people, but you know what I mean. It's to dig in and figure it out, and then on each issue, pick what seems the best according to your personal ideals. That's what being centrist is, or being liberal is, or whatever. It's not. It's not saying take the middle of everything. Like, what a ridiculous idea that is. Of course, that's not what it is.
My love for Barack Obama.
But you have to believe in the whole paradigm of left and right to begin with. So if you believe in that, if you believe that's part of the framework of the world, everybody's left or right, or I guess center, then center doesn't really make sense when you really think about it that way. And you still have your tribal allegiance, so you're not going to question your tribe. You're just going to question the centrist existence. Right, okay.
Maintaining my adherence to the status quo.
Now that also why status quo, yada yada, as the socialists always say, I'm against the status quo, even though he's now joined the status quo. Like, what a hypocrite, bro. You're now on the status quo of Hollywood, of every company, of everything, of DEI, everybody. You're on the status quo side of the president. There's no one that disagrees with you now. In like any kind of real power for the most part. You have joined the status quo. The status quo is now pro-socialist in America. To pretend like you're against the status quo is just, that's what socialists like to cosplay. I'm against the status quo. But no, of course you're not, right? You are the status quo. The people that are criticizing you, that are giving you crap, that's the people that are against the status quo. Yeah.
And I realized it was just because, even as a black man and with my specific intersections of oppression.
Oh my God. Now, what does that stuff mean to us normal people? It's kind of, let me fix the video. It's kind of gibberish, to be honest. It's kind of gibberishy. You guys know what it means. It means it's where feminism went with intersectionality. If you're enough check marks, then you get more privilege, you get more points on the card, on your oppression matrix, basically. And you can only speak to your level and blah blah blah. I wonder what his point with it is, though.
I'm in a relatively privileged position.
Because he's not trans and he's not all these other worst ones, he has to compare to those and go, check my privilege, I'm more privileged than them.
After I finish this manosphere video, I'm going to talk about, like, being a millennial. And like, if you saw
didn't I point that out in the last video, that it's very much obsessed with like the age of everything. Like We're in this generation. This generation is the current generation. Everything, boomers are old. They don't know they don't know about these new ideas. These new ideas belong to the young generation. It's nonsensical. Most of the ideas are older than any of us alive. To pretend like they're new, it's just dishonest, man.
Video with Julesy points out that if you're black and you're born in like the 80s or the late 80s, early 90s, to college educated parents that weren't born in a
Or in other words, what are you saying? That racism isn't as bad as people make it out to be, and that people can succeed, and they can have class mobility in America. In fact, it's actually true, and it's disgusting that more people don't actually acknowledge how much we've actually moved forward. And just pointing out the bad is actually disgusting, and at least most of us with a sick taste in our mouth. That's what you're saying? Or no, you're going to say something else? You're too privileged to really know because you had two parents, man. Yeah, you're privileged because I've said it before and I'll say it again. The only real privilege that like really exists, in my opinion, is having two parents, is having a father and a mother in the home. Compare single parent kids to kids with two parents. Compare kids raised in a single parent household and compare kids in a two parent household and compare. You are right, but you're wrong because you're not realizing that the reason you're right is because no one's focusing on the real problem, which is kids, which is kids without two parents. It doesn't matter. Everybody wants to be obsessed about their goddamn race and ignore the kids that are fucking suffering because everybody is obsessed with themselves. He's like, blah, 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 me, blah, 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 me, blah, 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 me. This is all about me. Like nothing, all this has been about is himself. And it's somehow about, other people in some way, about caring about other people. But all he's doing is talking about himself.
Major city, but away from the crack epidemic. You are probably pretty privileged as a African American person by internal standards. When I have cousins that grew up on the south side of Chicago on the Wild Hunnets.
Yeah, and there's white people that fucking grew up and saw a drive-by when they were 11 years old. Like just because there's other people that are some color that have but again, that's because you're focusing on the wrong goddamn issue, bro. It's kids without parents. It's kids without role models, man. And anyway, I don't know why I'm still trying to reach people like this, but it's obvious you're obviously on the wrong problem. Like, why isn't it working? Well, because you're on the wrong problem, because you don't understand the problem, because you believe a bunch of made up nonsense and you think you're a rebel and a freedom fighter when you're in fact enforcing the dissonance and disruption that keeps all of us down is what you're actually doing. You're actually a fighter for dissidence, chaos, disruption, and the powers in charge to keep the rest of us down and keep us from working together. You're holding most of us down, believe it or not. And that's yourself too. People like you guys that are preaching this stuff, the nameless cult members, are actually keeping the rest of everybody down. They're holding everybody back, in my opinion. Now, should they be stopped? No. People should just speak up and stop letting it happen. Stop letting companies get hijacked by this. Stop letting schools, stop letting society act like it's normal. It's a crazy religion, and it's not a religion, it's a cult.
That are just as smart as me, or they grew up way out in the suburbs and that flies in the milk experience, just as smart as me.
Now, he says just as smart. Something to point out is a lot of the policies that are backed up by people from the left, from leftists, are policies about removing advanced classes and advanced courses for kids in school. So you're going to fail the ones that are just as smart that you're talking about. Those kids are doomed if they're in public school, because public school, led by leftists, has been the biggest creator of inequality when it comes to races, to children with their parents, all of the shit. Every single inequality. Guess who created it the most? It was the school system. Guess who fucked up teaching kids how to read? It was the school system. Look into when they tried to teach kids a new reading system and how that worked out. Look how great that was. The public school system, run by leftists, is the main thing creating the racial problems for the most part. Besides, of course, the parent not having a father. Those two things tied together are the biggest causes. More than their race, and it's enough with the fucking racism shit. If you actually cared, you would care about this. It's school, And you get there's plenty of evidence, man. Just start reading about it. There's school, and then what? There's school, and then what? And then what? What's the other thing holding him back? Not having a dad, not having somebody to look up to. That's it, man. It's so simple, but nobody wants to call people out on the real issues here. Because you can look at it. Yeah, you can say it's black, white, blah, blah, over and over, say it's racism, but what about when you cut it by single mother? Which group has more kids growing up without a father? And then which group is more affected? They line those numbers correlate pretty well, man. Those numbers correlate pretty well. I'm not saying there's a one-to-one causal link, but they correlate pretty well. Which groups, like which racial groups, are growing up without a father more? And then which groups are, have more crime? It's the same thing, man. It's not race-based. It's fatherlessness-based. And like calling it race-based is just so narcissistic and shit, man. It's like, oh, blah, blah, this is why. Why do you know? Well, because I'm black. Okay, well, that's fucked up. What about the actual kids, whatever skin color they are, that need help right now? Oh, who cares? They're not me.
But didn't have access to the type.
I'm fighting against the status quo by holding those kids down and keeping the public school system going. Like, Jesus Christ, bro. They should be educated in the public school system and then college into nonsensical studies.
Of resources and support systems, self-affirming, blackness affirming resources that I got to.
Now that's good that he is self-affirming. Self-affirming is the only affirmation that matters. You need to have confidence in yourself. Don't look for outside external validation. That's the common thing of society now, but don't do that. Don't look for that. That's a good thing he's saying. Yeah, self-affirm, knowing you're worth something on your own. And a lot of times I think the best way to achieve that is to like learn a skill, like get good at something. And get really good at something, and then you feel good, man. Like you can destroy your ego pretty much and just go back to like, oh, I can do that. That's really cool.
I was a beneficiary of as a young boy. A lot of people, the thing about Hoteps that's so funny to me is that like if Hoteps knew my history, they respect the shit out of me. Cause all the Hotep shit, all the Pan-African shit.
I don't know anything about this. I don't know. Whatever, right? This is all in their circle of like leftist stuff. I don't know.
Motherfuckers are learning in undergrad and in their 20s off YouTube and Instagram. That was like native to me. It wasn't Hotep bullshit. Some of it was, but it wasn't as watered down and weird as it's gotten now. It wasn't like Hebrew Israelite shit, but like that, Pan-African, like activity that was born in the 60s. That's what my parentage and like my community was born from. I grew up with no issues about being black. And then I was surrounded by productive images of blackness. So of course I went to college. Of course I went to.
This should show him that like the things he believes in are nonsensical, right? You would think the fact that he could grow up that way at all in America shows what America's actually done and what we should be respected for, and we should be working towards more of that instead of tearing down the status quo, because the status quo, the actual old status quo, got us this far. And it's amazing. We should be thankful. We shouldn't be just destroying stuff so easily, just like a temper tantrum.
To an HBCU.
But, the revolution's required according to the nameless cult.
Of course I came out and had a decent job and was able to, partner well with.
How long is this part with his privileged nonsense?
Issues. Of course, I gave my.
Like, we just gotta hear about this guy on and on. I know I talk on and on, but bro, Jesus Christ. Okay, we get it. You're so privileged. Jesus Christ. Okay, I have a silver spoon. Okay, great. Like he's just bragging at this point. Okay, great, bro. I get it. Cool.
My children African names.
Great. You have children and you have a wife. That's wonderful, man. I'm happy for you. What does this have to do with nothing?
You know what I'm saying? Of course I voted for Obama. Of course all these things, right? So like this is shit. Do I still get pulled over by the police? Yeah.
Everybody gets pulled over by the police, bro. Everybody gets pulled over by the police. Now there are issues with policing in different areas that people have brought up, and that's a different topic. But I don't know. It's like, okay, yeah, like we're just supposed to like go, okay, And that's supposed to be like a signal to BLM, right? And that black people get shot more. When you actually look at it eliminated for nature of confrontation and resisting arrest and stuff, the numbers actually become more clear. But you know, it just wants to imply that kind of thing, or no? Maybe I'm reading too much into that, and then I take it back. But I don't know. Either way, it's like, okay.
Did police show up at my doorstep one time
Like, this guy seems like he was reasonable. What sent him over the edge?
with guns, hiding in the bushes, looking for another nigga that looked like me? Yeah, that shit really did happen. But luckily, I'm still here, and I have the
There was a SWAT raid that happened in my friend's house, and they killed his dog in the process. When I was still a minor. And you know, we got it taken down, and well, they didn't take us anywhere. Like, we were on the top floor of the house. They'd pull us down. They put us in those like handcuffs. My hands started like purple. They cut them off. It wasn't handcuffs. It was like zip ties. Um, my point was that whole thing was a bad tip. That kind of thing happens, bro. And I don't know. Attributing all the racism is like, how do you know? How do you know that was racism and not another reason? You know, how do you know? How do you know there was any? How do you know? Like that. Will you ever see that Fresh Prince episode where they talk about that? Where they're in the prison, and I think it's Carlton, and he was talking to Will, and he's like, they would have done it, or no, it was his dad. It was his dad. Like, they would have done it. Oh, they're not in prison anymore. It's the end of the episode. Does anyone know the episode they get pulled over? Anyways, he goes, would they have done that if we were white and we weren't black? Would they still pull us over? And you go, and he's like, the dad's like, Uncle Phil. He's like, I don't know. That question keeps me up too, or I like to think they do, or something. I don't remember the end. Fuck. Anyway, look up the clip on YouTube. After you're done watching this, Will Smith, Fresh Prince. I guess Will Smith might not be in the scene. Fresh Prince. Racism, goes to jail, arrested. I don't know, bro. It's an episode. You can find it.
resources, especially now doing YouTube, that the shit that really affects black people in the struggle and people in the struggle in general, sexual minorities, black trans people, black queer people, trans and queer people in general, immigrants.
In the struggle. The struggle means, I think, being oppressed by white supremacy and the systems. I think that's what the struggle means, I guess. I assume that's what the struggle means.
The whole list of people that are negatively affected by conservative centrist politics. I'm not worried about that shit for real.
Okay, what's this have to do with centrists? Jesus Christ.
Man, I really want to hold on to that feeling when Obama was elected. I don't want to think about that other shit.
Like, in all the drone strikes he did? What other shit?
You see what I'm saying? That is privilege. That is...
We're all privileged to be... This is why the privilege thing breaks down. Every American is privileged to be an American. And I'm thankful for my privilege as such. You know, my grandfather came across the old ocean. And the old ocean. And he wanted to be American. He wanted his kids to be American. He wanted his family to be American. And we are. So, I'm thankful for that. And it's a privilege. Yeah. And it's a privilege. Yeah. But all of us that are American have that privilege. Which is why it's silly to even compare privilege, because we have the agency to even, like, advocate for things, right? That right there is privilege. The privilege to have the agency and ability and means to advocate for things is privilege, which means, I mean, every single person, every single one of us is privileged in a very real way. And that's it. That's the end of the topic there.
Wanting the status quo in the world as you understand it, which is pretty good to you.
Good to you. It's good to everyone. What about is he about to say? It's better than what alternative is there than the status quo that's so good? Now, I'm not saying keep the status quo as it is. Our government's corrupt pretty much at this point. You guys, there's all kinds of shit that's corrupt at this point. A lot of our institutions are corrupt at this point. We got to change all those things. I'm against the status quo too, but still, I got to give it to, like, you know, a lot of the frameworks that were put in place a long time ago, and they're what they've done. Like, I wouldn't want to destroy everything. I do want to get rid of public school, but I think there's good evidence for that. Why that's a good idea. But even still, I would still want to save a lot of, like, you know, the valuable things we've learned from the education system. Um, I don't know. I don't know.
Be, validated, to be righteous.
What?
You know what I'm saying?
You don't want to be righteous, by the way. Being righteous is bad. It shuts down your critical thought, and it's why so many people on the left are inherently righteous and inherently, at a certain point, no longer as rational as they think they are.
Status quo in the world as you understand it, which is pretty good to you.
Pretty good to you. Trying to understand it.
Be, validated, to be righteous. You know what I'm saying?
He's righteous.
So all
in being himself in that world, but not in the status quo world. But the thing is, he switched when it was cool to switch. Like, he can't claim that he's some kind of rebel. He's joined the side that is the side in power now. The leftist side. That is the side that's in power. I know I make a case that left and right aren't real. Right. It's complicated, right? What I mean is, like, even the leftists are a bunch of different groups of factions, and calling them leftists isn't really true. They just happen to align, and in most cases, their only goals that align are taking down the people in power.
Conservatives, and I'm black. You know what I'm saying? And, like, the man, I don't know how I'm gonna.
But again, this point should prove, like, to himself that he's saying nonsense when he's believing in this other stuff, but it doesn't. He got convinced, he got beat up by peer pressure and joined when it was cool, and now he's telling other people to join this nonsensical. Like, he finally caved and sold out, and he's like, please, come on guys, sell out too. Okay.
So address it, because I'm coming from a weird space, but I'm gonna tell you, especially being in Atlanta, especially being an HBCU grad, and especially coming out of that headspace.
Now I believe in it. Racism everywhere against black people. Now I believe in it. Right.
The elitism among black, academics and the black bourgeoisie, it's tough. It's problematic, and a lot of motherfuckers don't realize they're conservatives. Man, me and FD had similar backgrounds. You'd be surprised how many people didn't realize how wild the black experience is until undergrad, post Trayvon Martin and Michael.
Capital B.
I wasn't that bad, but yeah, I was really, because I had.
Let's not even talk about any of that, right?
I always worked with kids. I was really frustrated when Trayvon Martin was murdered, and people were like, "Wow, I can't believe it still happened." I'm like, "You can't." Black people,
bro. People get if.
So the term conservative.
You know what, kid? You know what people are dying the most? Again? Guess what all those people that died almost have in common? Not having a dad, bro. Guess what? Not having a dad. Not having a dad, but we're still going to say it's race. We're still going to say it's race, even though we can find that other connection too, but we all ignore that one for some reason. Why? Well, because everybody else wants to play this specific racist game and sexist game to push some stupid Marxist nonsense. But if anybody actually gave a shit and wanted to help people and wanted to solve the problems, we would care about those kids without a dad, man. It's fatherlessness. Come on, bro. And it's the school. It's not conservatives. Conservatives are not to blame. And it's so sick that we've like us centrists have allowed that to be the framework. I think we do need to stand up and be like, no, stop condemning conservatives. Stop it. It's not all their fault. Stop it. Stop letting them make them into a demon. They're not a demon.
To hold on to the status quo as it has been. To hold on to the things that
we need both trailblazers and people holding to the old traditions. We need both. That's what a centrist believes, man. The centrist believes not that you pick the middle of everything, that you understand you need both. You need people out there pushing the limits, and you need people holding the fort.
That have worked in the past, even though a lot of these things never actually fucking worked. I talked about that with your boy.
Never worked. And why did you get to go to college, right? Why did you have two parents? Why did you get to go to college? If nothing worked, why did you get to go to college, man? Like, you're talking to a dropout. You're talking to a dropout, and you're like, I went to college, blah, 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 blah. I'm a dropout, bro. And you're telling me blah, 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 blah. Okay, 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 okay. But why am I listening to you, bro? Like, what do you know about anything like this? You know? Like, you're like, well, because I'm black. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, that's the one. That's the one that matters. Okay. No, I get it. No, I get it. Yeah, okay. You're right. I'll listen, Mr. College.
Thomas Sowell and Candace Owens.
Oh, right. What are they now? What fucking Thomas Sowell is like a really smart man, like a really smart dude. His book, Basic Economics, read that. Read any of his books, man. What is he gonna shit on him for, though? Because he's black and not talking the right way? That's it? He's an economist, and he doesn't believe in socialism because it's nonsense. That's it, man.
Good old Uncle.
He started as an uncle. That's racist, bro. Don't call people uncle something. That's fucked up, man. That's racist as fuck. Like, I know you can say, oh, well, you can't be racist against your own race thing. No, of course you can. Like, what are you able to?
Uncle Tom. Both.
Uncle Tom. Which one are you calling Uncle Tom?
Both.
Both of them? Thomas Sowell's and Uncle Tom? Why, man? The fuck? Like, what? Establish that claim, bro. Establish that fucking claim. You're just gonna toss that fucking racist nonsense at him because he disagrees with your viewpoint?
But when you don't have, and so the same thing with these Jordan Peterson.
He started as socialist, bro. The guy started socialist.
Centrist. If you are a heterosexual white male, as much as Jordan Peterson likes you to believe that you are, actually the most oppressed group.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't tell you shit because the most oppressed group, as I keep saying, is children without a father. Period. Stop pretending. Stop pretending it's black. Stop pretending that. Just stop. Just stop lying to people and pretending that's the issue instead of the real issue, man. Stop. And then you have the fucking nerve to call other people Uncle Toms and names like that and say, white male, blah, blah, blah. You're actually privileged. No, you don't know that. You don't ask if they had a father. Ask if they had a goddamn father before you say that. The group with the actual biggest thing, most behavioral problems, most problems finding work, most problems having a career in the future, least chance of finishing school, most chance of getting arrested, most chance of being shot by the police, by anybody, more chance of being shot, more chance of everything, man. And you want to say, oh, well, you're white. No, find out if they have a father first. Find out if they have a father first, because that's a bigger indicator of something than their skin color and who they have sex with. Like, the fucking nerve of people now to say it comes down to what you look like and who you have sex with. That's what's important. Not the, oh, you mean these actual issues we can see about you not having a father? Oh, we don't know about that. Who knows about that thing? Oh, what, huh? Income, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they're like you grew up in lower, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no one knows about that at all. It's actual experiences shared by people, as this guy already said, but then now just goes into, cultist mode and just spews out baloney. It's so sad to see this happen, man. I wish I gotta find a video later that explains how he made the transition from reasonable to just, speaking in tongues. I don't know where it happened.
You are not. So you don't.
Again, you have no right to tell anybody on the planet that. There's no reason you do. Why on earth do you, somebody who went to college and have two parents, think you have the right to tell anyone anything about who is privileged and who is not? You don't. You don't, man. I'm sorry. You've given me enough information for me to know that you don't have the right to tell anybody that who's privileged. And you can say, oh, I can because of my skin color. No. No, I disagree. I disagree. I protest that. I protest that. I say you have no right to do that. I say nobody has any right to say other people aren't privileged, aren't this, aren't that, even though I'm doing it right now. But I guess I'm a hypocrite. Cramp. I am kind of doing it right now to him. Okay, well, I don't want to do it. I'm just trying to tell him to stop doing it, bro. And that's the reason why, is because he doesn't have any authority to speak on it. I'm not doing it I'm not saying, if he just said I'm not privileged, and I'd be like, okay, I wouldn't tell him whether or not he's privileged or not. If he's like, I'm not privileged, you don't know me. Okay, I don't know you. You know, that's what I would do instead of being like, oh, you're white. I know. I wouldn't be like that. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't. I don't see how it's right to tell people because of their skin color and because of their sexual orientation anything about who they are. I don't see how that's not racist. I don't see how that's not some kind of discriminatory. It's so gross to see people as skin color and sexual orientation. It's really disgusting, and I don't get how you can justify that for any reason. Um, I don't know how you can say anything about people based on such indicators. I don't see how you can. I don't see how you can say anything about people based on their race or their sexual orientation. And I think it's gross to try.
Care that much about Roe v. Wade being taken away. You don't care that much about.
See, he's saying that in spite of his growing up fooled him, and you know, even though he was black, he didn't get the things yet. And now he's saying their growing up is why they don't get the things either, and they'll never get the things. But not how they grew up. He didn't even say that. He's ignoring how they grew up. He's saying how I grew up is important because X. What skin color they are is all that's important. How they grew up, I don't care. I don't care. I just made a good point why nurture explains a lot of things, but guess what? It's your fucking nature when I condemn you, white person. It's your goddamn nature that I condemn. You're not privileged. I mean, you're not privileged. You are privileged. No matter what you think, you are privileged because of your skin color, white person. How about try not being white, huh?
You know, anti-trans bills. You don't care that much about voter disenfranchisement.
Why would being any skin color have to do with if you care about trans bills? What are you talking about? Like, ridiculous. It's because this is the myth of the left. The myth of the left is that everybody that believes in any of this stuff is on the same side, right? Because they all try to make you on the same side because they gain from that politically to force you onto the side, and they will.
You don't care that much about all these things that Jordan Peterson tells you is really the evil, you know, postmodern, you know, leftist, whatever. You don't care about that stuff because that stuff has no value to you. And it's easy for you to say, well, I'm just a centrist. I just want common sense things to help people. And you don't understand that extreme is.
Have you guys, since you've changed everything to being more extreme like this, and you've taken over the status quo, by the way, which you keep pretending you're against, but you are the status quo, let's be honest. Has it done anything good? It's gotten worse in every way, man. So what is the point of it? Clearly you're wrong. Clearly getting people to be more critical conscious, to be more critically aware of their race and their skin color and their sexuality is not having any positive effect on anything. So why are we doing it? Name one thing that's gotten better because of this. Instead of your own feelings about it, name one real thing. Don't just say it makes me feel better or something. I need a real thing. I need some real evidence. Scientific evidence, which I know most, you know, of the nameless cult don't believe in, but I need real evidence if you're going to make such ridiculous claims. I also still need evidence for the Thomas Sowell thing. Jesus Christ, how is he an Uncle Tom? What the hell does that come from? Like, fucking nerve, man. What, like, and why are you calling him that? Because he's black? Jesus Christ.
It's already where we are. That's a point I wish I'd have spent more time with in the video, is that, like, centrists will say the left is too extreme.
Yeah, no, the left is too extreme. Yes, you pushed us away from you because you're ridiculous and you're not solving anything and you're wasting all of us our time and you're holding all of us back. You're holding kids back right now because we should be addressing the kids without dads. That's what we should be doing. And the school system that's failing them. Those are the things we should be addressing. Why aren't we addressing it? Well, we got all this race shit we got to talk about. And that's the only political issue worth anything for some reason. That's the only way we can move is equity and inclusion. We can't do anything real. We have to do stupid, like, posturing and, you know, bow down to the cult or what that's what we have to do. We don't get to do anything useful. School boards are doing nothing useful. Nobody's doing anything useful,
and they aren't understanding that shit is already extreme. Climate change is already extreme. Police brutality is already extreme.
What is worse? Now, I don't want to get too into the police brutality conversation, but you know what's worse than police brutality? You know, people, again, children without a father, again, are more worried about than police brutality. Brutality of other people in their neighborhoods. The brutality of other people in their neighborhoods. Like, do you think poor people are worried about? Do you really think poor people are worried about cops more than they're worried about other people in their neighborhood? No, fuck no, they're not. Fuck no, they're not. Look at any polling too. This isn't just like me talking out of my ass. Look at any polling of poor neighborhoods or whatever, any type of polling. Do they want police officers there? Yes. Most of them, yes, 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 yes. Why? Because policing is still better, even if it was as bad as they say it is, which it's not. But if it was, it would still be better than the criminals that are victimizing them. And the nerve, like the arrogance, like this is the actual privilege. Yes, it's somebody that goes to college, then comes back and tells poor people, hey, this is the real problem you're not facing. Like, what fucking arrogance, man. And I said before that the 3 pillars of the nameless cult are going to be established in these videos. I'm going to highlight that they believe in the 3 pillars. And what are the 3 pillars again? One second. The 3 pillars of the nameless cult are a lack of individual agency and belief in in personal responsibility, a belief in relative reality, your truth versus my truth, and then 3, arrogance, the hubris to believe that you know better than everyone else, that because you were educated in the magic knowledge that you got from college, you're now able to come back around and tell poor people and their lived experience is bullshit. You're able to just say, nope, it ain't true. I know we put this value on lived experience, but that's only when it lines up with the rest of my college nonsense, my cultish nonsense. If you don't go along with the cult, you're an Uncle Tom. You already said as much. Jesus Christ. And then you have the nerve. You have the nerve to tell poor people, it doesn't matter anything you go through. Nothing matters if you're white and you are attracted a certain way. Guess what? Well, you're privileged and you're the bad guys. Like, get over it, bro. Get over your issue like this. You know, get the fuck over it, man. You have a guilt that you went to college and other black people or whatever the fuck the guilt is. Other people are going through worse than you. Get over that, man. You're preaching something. You're preaching a destructive cult, and you think you're against the status quo, but the destructive cult is an arm of the status quo that's made to keep all of us from working together and actually fixing anything. Because you can't have an educated populace, man. You can't. They do not want us to have an educated populace. That's why you need public schools. That's why you need to keep the father of the household. Because if we had an educated populace, regardless of skin color, then the people at the top would no longer be able to keep us down. Don't you get that? Like, come on, guys. Sorry, I said don't you get that? That's rude. I'm assuming like you can't understand it. Just come on, somebody like.
Trans and queer phobia already extreme. Women's rights already.
I'm sorry, none of this is worse than the kids right now going to public school. You're not making a good case, man. None of this is worse. I'm sorry. Than kids right now going to public school and not having a father. How is any of this worse than what those kids are going through and what they're going to go through? Why should I care about these narcissists more than I care about those kids? Make me a case for that.
Like, so much shit is already extreme.
Make me a case why I shouldn't give a shit about those kids. I mean, I know I can't hear me, but Jesus Christ.
They were putting kids in cages under Obama. You feel me? There were kids in cages.
Now he says kids. Yeah, you give a shit about kids, sure. Don't lie, man. Don't pretend. Don't posture. It's fake. All of us see, and all of us like that you call centrists, we see through the whole game, man. That's the thing. Just centrists haven't been talking. People haven't been talking because everybody's been keeping their heads down because the left has gone way crazy and way extreme, and everybody's kept their heads down because they don't want to deal with it, and they're hoping it just blows over. But the truth is, we got to start talking up, and we got to start speaking up, and we are now. And the truth is, stop this, man. Like, what are you doing? And I mean, keep speaking whatever, not your truth, but whatever you want to talk about, but you're cosplaying is what you're doing. You're not against the status quo. You are the status quo. You're an agent of the state. You're an agent of the corporations. You're part of the nameless cult, man. You don't. You've given up your agency, and instead of helping the kids, or you just pretend all this other shit is more important than them, than those kids. You're putting all this other shit, and your silence on this speaks volumes to me. I know that I'm using your own guys' language, but it does. The fact that nobody ever cares about this really speaks volumes to me. Because every way you look it up, those kids are in a worse position.
Obama, we just didn't hear about it.
And then pretending about the kids in the, yeah, he's right though. Obama started the kid camp thing. I mean, not the kid camp. Obama started the program at the border and built the place that they later condemned Trump for. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, and then a year ago, a bunch of racists.
Oh, they're all racist now. Says who? How do you get to say that? And what? You're judging them because of their skin color, right? What are you actually judging them being racist? Their skin color? Like, come on. How do you actually judge those people as racist?
Literally try to do
literally
a coup on our
literally did a coup. Literally.
Nation.
Currently the worst, yeah, that was the worst thing that ever happened. Fuck those riots. Fuck David Dorn that got killed, right?
So we're all
Does he think he even knows who David Dorn is? You think he's ever heard the name? Who David Dorn is? David Dorn, if you don't know, was the ex-police officer that came in to protect his buddy. I think it was his buddy's store, and it was being robbed, and they killed him. They killed him. It was during the BLM riots, and they killed him.
Already
An old, nice old man. It seemed like. I obviously didn't know the guy, but they say all these old names, but nobody knows the people that were just like trying to do the right thing and got killed. Nobody knows those ones, you know. People just know the other ones. Nobody knows the people that die. If there's no racial component to sell, and you're black and you die, nobody knows, you know, and that's tragic. And I mean, it's true for white people too, of course, but like we act like it's about black lives, blah blah blah. But if you're black and you're killed and there isn't a racial component, nobody hears about you. You're just another nameless, unsolved crime. Forever.
Extreme. So if you are in the center of extreme, then you're right wing. You get me?
What on earth are you saying? And again, this is why the whole spectrum is not real, period. You don't have to be on the spectrum. You don't have to believe this nonsense preached by these hateful people. You just don't have to do it. You just opt out, no matter what they tell you.
Anywhere else in the world,
opt the fuck out. Opt the fuck out of this, man. These people from college come down to tell everybody else what they're doing, what they're wrong. The fucking elites coming down to talk down to the rest of us again. Oh, I know everything. Why do you have special privilege? Oh, because of this identity card. No. Enough.
Shout out to Big Villainous and Overthrow Media. Anywhere else in the world, America's liberal party is a conservative party. It's center at best. So
get the fuck out of this political game, man. They're gonna beat you with sticks until you join their side, and they're gonna make you a villain if you aren't on their side. So just get out now. Let them call you a villain. Let them call you names. It's not worth it, man. This is a pit of vipers. The status quo now, the nameless cult is a pit of vipers now. Get the fuck out, if you ask me. Get the fuck out. Don't play the game. Just care about your friends and your family. Get the fuck out if you're in the cult, please.
Yeah, if you're like, I'm a centrist, but
like, this is so ridiculous. All these ideas are so ridiculous, but it seems real because it's just made up in people's heads, and they just like define the world that way. Like, left and right is not real. There is no real thing there. It's just a construct, like they always say. That it's an actual construct. It's not real. It doesn't mean anything about you. You don't have to be on this spectrum in the middle somewhere. You can be anywhere you can be in it. You're not mapping to it. You don't have to. Only individual issues make sense to speak of that way. People don't make any sense to speak of that way. You're not left. You're not right. You're just a person. What nonsense. Like, that's the biggest lie they've got you to swallow, is that you're left or you're right. You're not. You're neither one. Nobody is. You're just joining a tribe and trying to fit in. That's it. You're joining a tribe and trying to fit in.
You're against critical race theory.
Like, he says against the status quo. Like I said, you're against critical race theory. Yeah, well, anybody with a freaking working brain is. Sorry. No, don't say that. Anybody that can read it objectively, critically, might have some concerns with critical race theory.
You're against trans rights.
Trans rights? What are you even talking about? Don't just say it that way instead of saying what you mean. You mean people are against gender affirming care, right? You mean people are against sterilizing children with drugs. Say what you mean, please. Don't use this language game to hide what you mean behind, words. Trans rights. Rights for children to be sterilized by their parents. No. I don't agree with that.
You're okay with wild shit that Jordan Peterson says.
What wild shit that Jordan Peterson says? What? Name one. Name one.
You're okay with normalizing misogyny and misogynoir
What the fuck does that mean?
in actual like academic discourse.
What the fuck does that mean?
You're
just buzzwords, just nonsensical buzzwords. He's evil because he's misogynist, homophobic, racist. He's a fascist. Also, like, all this shit is so meaningless now. You have no power of this anymore. You got to make real arguments now. The regular people are now going to speak up, man, and we're sick of these just words that we know don't really establish anything. You got to start bringing receipts. We're no longer playing that game anymore where we don't check receipts anymore. We're now going to start going over these people's receipts, okay? We're going to start going over people's receipts. Regular people are going to start going, centrists are going to start going over these wacky leftist receipts, this nameless cult's receipts. And you know what? We're going to find lacking because we know you don't have any.
Okay with the abuse of black bodies, male and
black bodies, Jesus Christ.
Female and otherwise. If you're okay with those things, as long as people are polite about it.
Nobody wants abuse of black bodies. What a weird freaking way to say that. Of course, it's Marxist speak. You say bodies to dehumanize them because you're saying that they dehumanize them. You're saying that the systems dehumanize them. That's why you call them black bodies, to make that point. That's why he's doing that one. You say dehumanize. I mean, you say bodies because you're saying the system has dehumanized them and they're not even human anymore, according to the system. But you're the one saying it. You're the one making that a true thing.
You feel me?
I don't feel you at all. No. No. I certainly do not feel you.
You're a conservative. Because that's how shit's been going for the
I usually have an issue with college kids, though, if I'm being honest with you. I often do. I often have an issue with people that call it like elite, stuck-up college kids that think they have a right to tell other people how to live and what they are and what the real problems in the world are. I have a real issue with that, especially when they're clearly their research on the topic shows ineptitude, and they don't bring any receipts, just baseless claims of names and words without any actual. There's no substance to this whole video at all. It was just random claims about people being fucked up and being Uncle Toms. And you just call people names for 10 minutes, man. Like, how is that cool? To just call people names for 10 minutes and be like, I made an argument there. I'd explained something there. No, you didn't. You just called people fucking names and then it made a bunch of assumptions.
Continue to go until people move further left.
No, it's past the peak, man. It's past the peak. People are not now joining you. No. It's going the other way. You guys have gone too far. You guys have gone too far. Too many people have been hurt now by the schools and by the leftist policies. We're not going further that way. Centrists are not going with you anymore. We tried to be in the middle. We tried to talk to people and we got told this kind of stuff. We got told there is no centrist. You're not a thing. Well, guess what then? We're not on your side. Okay? We're not, because you guys aren't based in reality, and we're not gonna you're not gaining more support no more for this. All the support you got is in the school system and how many kids you can program to act that way and how many kids you can break the free will of. But your power is past its peak. You're on the decline, I'm telling you. And of course you won't know this because these people can't even see past their own area. Man, this video is more upset than I wanted to be about this, but I don't know, maybe it's a good contrast to the last one. I'll still put it out. Let's finish it.
Among my peers, I'm the moderate. I was talking about that with BP the other day. I'm low-key not, I'm too radical to get certain sponsors. I know that much.
Nah, it's fine now. It's fine now.
I know my sponsorship money is weaker because of my political takes.
Bro, you got sponsors? What are you even talking about? Oh, blah, 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 sponsor. You have sponsors. What are you talking about? I've got no sponsors. I mean, not to make it about me, but like, oh, there's plenty of people out here making stuff that have no sponsors, right? That have no money coming in and they're still making it. It's always the socialists that are obsessed with how much money they make. I've noticed that. You guys notice that? It's always the socialists that go on and on about how much money they make and making more money. Isn't that weird?
But like, don't give St. Andrew 300.
How much stuff they have.
Don't give.
It's all like socialists are obsessed with how much stuff they have, whether that be physical stuff or not physical stuff like how many likes they have, right? That's all they care about, man. They're just obsessed with their like personal status and wealth. It's it. That's it. That's a. What do you do about that?
Give Villainous 300,000 subscribers. Y'all want to see Radical for real? Shout out to them.
Yeah, you want to see some complete nonsense? Check those guys out.
Anyway, I'm about to roll, y'all. I hope that rant didn't come off crazy.
No, it did. It did. But the thing is like that type of crazy is no longer a problem for anyone. You can have people that go off to college, come back and yell at a bunch of people and tell them, I mean, can come back and tell everyone else they're Uncle Toms, they're privileged, they're this, they're that, because they have the holy knowledge that they gained in college. That's it. That's it. Our lived experience don't matter. And when push comes to shove, you don't respect anybody. That's what you've shown in this conversation. You don't respect individuals. You don't respect people that went through anything. All you respect is the color of people's skin and their sexuality. That's it. That's all you respect. You don't respect merit. You don't respect character. You respect color of skin. That's what came out of this to me. That's the message I got from this man. And I don't know what they're attempting to put out there. Now, what can we use? What can we use from this? I don't know. I'm gonna try to find another video of this guy that explains why he went from, like, you know, kind of makes sense to just completely nonsensical cult indoctrination. We'll see, but it's maybe a reminder that it highlights, well, one, it highlights the arrogance that you gain from college. I think people call it a lot of times Dunning-Kruger effect. I don't know if that explains it, but there's definitely an arrogance that comes from people that come out of college. And it's one of the key things that leads to people being part of the nameless cult. That's why it's mostly college people that are part of this movement. It's a lot of other people too, but notice it's mostly people out of college and mostly from specific fields. Why? Well, duh, because they're programming centers. And it doesn't start in college, it starts in K through 12. K through 12 is ruined. Let's finish this video and then I'll catch you guys next time.
This will be up live. I didn't put up the last live because it got cut short. And literally the entire live is going to be these two videos for anybody that cares. Two videos. I released one video this morning. And then the next one will probably be later on this week. But this will go up to the Patreon. Follow me on Patreon, all that good stuff. Y'all,
give me money. Give me money. I'm a socialist. Give me money. Give me money. I'm a socialist. Give me money. Jesus Christ.
you know.
I'm against the status quo. Pay me.
Deuces, lay up.
All right. Anyways, thank you guys for hanging out. I don't know if there was any value in this one or not. Maybe somewhere in there. Let me know. Thank you guys for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Your time is valuable to me, and I appreciate you using it to watch this. I hope you have a good day. And I don't know, man. Don't let those, don't become the three pillars, okay? Please, guys, don't become the three pillars. I think if you do that, you can keep yourself rational, you can keep yourself, because they're not crazy. That's something to really take in. They're not crazy. They have a rule of systems that they believe in. I'm hoping with these last two videos, I've highlighted some of that, and also the arrogance, the lack of individuality. Now, I haven't yet found a video that shows their belief in relativity being a key pillar. But again, the three pillars are lack of individual belief, lack of belief in individual agency or personal responsibility. That's pillar number one. Pillar number two, a belief in relative reality, your truth versus my truth. Number three, arrogance, hubris, the idea that you know better than most of the human race just because of a special knowledge that you gained from somewhere, usually college. All right, thank you guys. Have a good day, and don't practice any of those, please. Believe in personal responsibility. Believe in objective reality. Believe in being thankful and humble if you can. I don't know. The humble one's hard, huh? To not be arrogant. I don't have a tip for that, except I think the answer is being thankful. Like, whenever you think of your gifts and the things you have, think about why you have them and who you should be thankful for, who you should be thankful to for those gifts. Um, like I think that keeps you from being too arrogant. Every time you think of something that like you're proud of, think about who helped you do that. And it might not be direct. It might be like, in some like long way, it'd be like the founding fathers or something, your grandfather, your parents, your friend, whoever you can find, your teacher, whoever you can find to be partially responsible. Thank them for it in person if you can, and just be thankful to them in your mind. I think that helps cut that one down, and that's how you practice those three things, and you won't be part of the cult, and your very existence will bother them. It'll make them mad. It'll make them furious. It'll make them start flinging things, and all you got to do is be the rock you are and get through the other side. And the only way through this now, the only way out of this now, fuck, I fucked it up. The only way out of this now is through. Okay? We're all stuck with this. We're stuck with this situation now, and the only way out is through. So buckle down, practice those things if you can. No, do practice those. Be a rock, get to the other side, and I'll see you there. Okay? Guys, just be you. The only way out of this is through now. We're going through the tunnel. All right? I'll see you guys on the other side. See you next week.